His case is one of the most haunting stories to ever bridge the distance between two countries, the United Kingdom and Japan. What began as a young woman's dream to explore a new culture turned into a horrific nightmare, one that ended in a national manhunt, a gruesome discovery, and a fugitive who would go to disturbing lengths to hide from justice. This is the case of Lindsay Ann Hawker and the man who killed her, Tatsuya Ichihashi. Although the events largely unfolded in Japan, our story begins in Coventry, England, a city with a long history, heavily bombed during World War II, but now reborn as a thriving hub in the Midlands. It's here that Lindsay Hawker grew up, bright, ambitious, with a sharp mind and a warm personality. Born December 30th, 1984, Lindsay was the eldest daughter of Bill and Julia Hawker. She had two younger sisters, Louise and Lisa, and excelled academically. After attending King Henry VIII School, she pursued a biology degree at the University of Leeds, graduating with first-class honours in 2006. But before diving into her master's programme, Lindsay decided to travel and experience life abroad. That led her to Japan, where she signed up with Nova, one of the country's largest private English conversation schools. She touched down in Tokyo in October 2006 and was placed in the Edogawa ward, specifically in Koiwa. She lived further east in Chiba, sharing an apartment with two fellow English teachers. Lindsay loved the culture, the energy of the city, and the independence she found there. But she stayed close with loved ones back home through constant messages, phone calls, and Skype chats. Just 6 months into her stay, however, something felt off. It was a seemingly ordinary day in March 2007. Lindsay had finished work and was unlocking her bike outside Chiba Station when a man approached her from behind. "You're my English teacher," he said. Confused, Lindsay quickly realised she had never met him before. The man persisted, trailing behind her as she tried to bike home. What began as a brisk walk turned into a jog, then a run. Lindsay couldn't shake him. The narrow side streets and overpasses of Chiba made it hard to lose a determined follower. When she finally reached her apartment, the man caught up. He introduced himself as Tatsuya Ichihashi and asked if she would give him private English lessons. He'd pay well, he claimed, and they could meet in a neutral place, like a cafe. Lindsay politely declined. But then came the second ask. He requested a glass of water. Uncomfortable, but thinking it might help her roommate see the man's face, she agreed to let him in briefly. While inside, Tatsuya again offered to pay her, this time with a specific amount, 3,500 yen per hour. Lindsay reconsidered. The extra cash could help, and the setting would be public. She agreed to meet him for a trial lesson a few days later. Before leaving, Tatsuya scribbled a sketch of Lindsay on a scrap of paper and included his name and phone number. That simple note would later prove vital. Tatsuya Ichihashi, born in 1979, came from a privileged background. His father was a prominent doctor and his mother a dentist. He originally planned to become a doctor himself but failed to pass the necessary entrance exams. Instead, he earned a degree in horticulture from Chiba University. Despite his education, he never sought employment and lived off a monthly allowance from his parents. Ichihashi was described as socially isolated, physically obsessed with fitness, and reportedly once settled an assault case out of court after allegedly attacking a woman. The details were buried. His father is believed to have paid the woman off. On March 24, 2007, Lindsay met Tatsuya at a local coffee shop for their lesson. CCTV later showed her visibly keeping physical distance while speaking to him. After their session, he told her he had forgotten the payment and asked if she could accompany him home to collect the money. Lindsay agreed, but she had a safety net. She asked the taxi driver to wait outside. She never came back. The driver, unaware of what would happen, eventually drove off. Lindsay missed work that evening. Then she missed the next day. Her roommates, alarmed, reported her missing. When they told police about a recent meeting with a man named Tatsuya, complete with his sketch, officers headed straight to his apartment. Neighbours allowed police to peek into his balcony. Something was off. The detachable bathtub, a feature of many Japanese apartments, had been moved to the balcony. Police suspected Lindsay might still be alive inside and called for backup. As 9 officers prepared to force their way in, Tatsuya Ichihashi opened the door with a backpack on and bolted. They grabbed his bag, but not him. In a confusing maze of corridors and no communication devices on hand, police lost him within seconds. Tatsuya had vanished. Inside the apartment, the scene was grim. Lindsay's body was discovered buried in sand, soil, and a decomposition chemical inside the bathtub. Flower seeds had been scattered over the top in an attempt to disguise the grave as a garden planter. Lindsay had been assaulted, gagged and bound. Her head was shaved and wigs were found in the room. The theory that he had shaved her to use her hair as a wig, while never confirmed, became one of the more horrific rumours in the case. Japan's national media exploded. Posters went up across cities. Police released digitally altered images showing what Ichihashi might look like in wigs or cross-dressing. But he was gone. Months passed, then a year, then 2. Lindsay's parents flew to Japan to beg for help and even reached out to the Yakuza, offering whiskey in exchange for information. Their heartbreak grew into anger as the police seemed slow, disorganized, and increasingly ineffective. Meanwhile, Ichihashi roamed the country. He lived in internet cafes, he took construction jobs under fake names. He mutilated his own face, cutting moles off with scissors, threading his nose to alter its shape, and eventually paid for multiple plastic surgeries. In 2009, he resurfaced in Osaka. A plastic surgeon recognized his face after a police-issued alert and reported it. Days later, a co-worker at his construction job did the same. Ichihashi fled again, planning to escape to Okinawa using a ferry, but before he could board, a port worker recognized him and alerted authorities. Police approached. "I am Tatsuya Ichihashi," he said. It was over. He was arrested and initially charged with abandoning a body. But soon, charges of assault and murder followed. His trial began in July 2011. In court, he admitted to luring Lindsay, assaulting her, and strangling her in a panic, fearing she would scream and draw attention. On July 21, 2011, Ichihashi was sentenced to life in prison. Lindsay's family had hoped for the death penalty, but the court ruled otherwise, citing his lack of prior convictions and potential for rehabilitation. Her family was devastated, not just by the verdict, but by having to sit through graphic images and relive every detail of their daughter's final hours. Before the trial, Ichihashi published a memoir titled Until I Was Arrested, where he detailed his life on the run. He offered all profits to Lindsay's family. They declined. Lindsay Hawker was 22 years old. She travelled the world to share her knowledge, her kindness, and her curiosity. In the end, it was that very kindness, offering a man water, agreeing to a meeting, trusting someone, that led to her death. But her memory lives on in those she loved and those who continue to speak her name. And though her killer may have tried to erase himself, to cut away the parts of his face that might betray him, the truth caught up with him. Justice may have come late, but it came. I want to quickly give a shout out to my first 30 subscribers. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you folks. Please share your thoughts down below, and if you haven't yet, consider tapping that subscribe and like button. It would really help me out. And remember to always watch your back.